Greetings and welcome back to Switch to Linux. We have another supporters stream. Bring everybody on. Greetings. How's it going?
Not bad. How about yourself?
Oh, not too bad myself. You guys are in spaceships and I'm in the field waiting for the spaceship to land. Okay. Found this nice little spot here. We have amazing internet and I'm in the middle of absolutely nowhere in North Dakota by a lake. Why not? We are co-streaming. If you don't like the tubes, we are co-streaming YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, and DLive. I know I said Rumble. That would define me as a right-wing conspiracy theorist, according to one commentator who said I'm out of here the other day. So we'll just embrace it. I'll just be a right-wing conspiracy theorist for a while. Why not, you know? We have, what is it? I don't know. YouTube's getting crazier. I don't know if it's 6 currently watching or 18 currently watching. I'm reporting both numbers. We have 4 over on Odyssey. Odyssey, guys, where are you? 3 over on Rumble. And our 2 Misfit Children, 1 on Twitch. And, oh, whoa. We have a new record on DLive. There's 2. Greetings, everybody. How's it going? On DLive, we got Vampire Frog just followed, and NPC Nan. I'm not sure if you were from last show or this show, but you are on now as well. Greetings. Welcome to the DLive version of the stream. Of course, if we ever have to get super spicy, I just push this red button here on YouTube that says end stream, and I just keep going. And then, well, if anything ever happens to me on Twitch, I don't care. But, you know, we got Odyssey, we got Rumble. Those should be good. Commodore Fan, $4 for some coffee. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. Let's see. So today we're talking about when not to use Linux. We're going to go ahead and do comments first. If anybody sees any comments you'd like to start out with, go ahead and call those out. Of course, Jeffrey does remind us Queen Elizabeth II has indeed passed away today. So prayers for over in the UK for a successful transition of power. However that's happening. Of course, we were saying on the stream, you know, she was queen for 70 years, and so nobody knows how to do an ordination over there, or coronation, whatever it is you guys do. So let me know how that goes, or if the country falls into utter ruin, let me know that as well. That would be interesting to see. Prince Charles finally gets his turn. Yeah, you saw the picture of the 2 of them on the throne. It's like he looks deader than she does. So I'm not sure how long he's going to be. It might be like one of those Old Testament, you know, Rehoboam from the Old Testament he reigned for 3 months. Okay. But, you know, we'll see. Love for Putin and what he said that time. I think Germany and France will be joining Italy on the subject. Oh, boy. Come on, Biden. Start World War III already. I'm ready. We're moving down that path. That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. All right. Let's see. Use Solaris. Use it always unless you're at work. There you go. We'll get into that. When not to use it, during a major power outage. You guys in California, you may not be able to use your Linux computers. But you guys in California, you should be following my channel to learn how to run your computers on like Raspberry Pis. Because you can run those things on small portable batteries for a long time. You got to get your gaming fix in. In fact, this week, where's my phone at? I think my phone's over here. I don't know if I'll be able to show you guys the picture or not. But I decided to hack life. I was at a lake. I actually got a chance to hang out at a lake in very, very northern Minnesota. I got a chance to see the northern lights dancing through the sky. But while I was sitting there waiting for that to happen, I decided to hack life and bring my, here we go. Decided to hack life and bring my Nintendo emulator out to the lake. So I'm sitting there at the lake playing Nintendo games, waiting for the northern lights. You know, you get Raspberry Pis, and even in California, if you have to, you know, shut down your house because of low energy, you can still play your Raspberry Pi emulation stations. Just saying, guys. Just saying. All right. So, yeah. Raspberry Review is going to be released from the current dump at 11 a.m. Well, we hope it goes well for you, and you get to go home, spend time with your kitty at home. That would be cool. Say when not to use pure Linux is when you're dealing with someone like your eldest aunt and mother who will never understand the concept of a software center. I don't know. Teaching them the concept of a software center is way easier than coming over and cleaning the malware off their computer from downloading things on the internet. So, your needs or someone else's computer needs cannot be met. Yeah, there you go. When you're using your phone, there you go. Greetings, Moonbase Alpha Grays. How's it going there? Neo29, greetings to you. Let's see. Die Master, hello to you. Mine says 25 on YouTube. Hey, I'm showing 25 on YouTube right now. I'm wondering if the AutoCAD. Yeah, if you need to use AutoCAD. There are some open source CAD software, but I have heard they're not particularly good. And I have no experience with any of them. Hello from Germany. Greetings. California has one called... CA has a new one called Go Jump in a... Go Jump in a... Yeah. Go Jump in a Lake. Right? I have 60 solar panels on my roof, generate 1 megawatt a month. I laugh in the face of your addition.
That is a lot of power.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. I mean, since I've reset my system, I have pulled in... Where's my number? I have pulled in 25.8 kilowatt hours. I think I reset it, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I can't remember how long. I'm drawing in the summertime, peak summertime, I'll draw in about 2.5, 3 kilowatts a day, which is more than enough to run my whole system for the day, which is nice. But, if I were in a full-fledged house, that's the thing. But I have not had to plug into the energy grid I don't think I plugged in the energy grid for at least 3 or 4 months. I have run the engine charger a few times during peak times of camping in the forest a few weeks ago. Where there was plenty of sun, you just couldn't get to it because of all the trees. So I ran the engine charger then. But yeah, not to use Linux. What a great title. I know, right? Never use Windows, Mac, Chrome OS Flex based on Chromium. Hello, Jean. Greetings. When not to use Linux, simple enough. When all distros fail to use engineers and let management decide the company's fate.
Yeah, that's a good comment. I saw that one.
Yeah. All right. Let's see if there's anybody else. We have 13 over watching on Odyssey. Left wing, right wing, it's all the same bird. Indeed, I agree with that. Wonder if more ouchie requirement attempts are coming. Probably. I mean, actually, there was an announcement. The Lord Fauci, the science himself, has thus decreed that the Kufi Nazi Jews shall actually be an annual one. So you can have your annual one. That's okay. I will not participate. Hello, Horror Stream Live. Greetings to you. Instigator, hello. When not to use Linux? I don't know. Never. Maybe for a small number of video games. Can't stand Windows or Apple. There you go. Can't do it on Linux. I won't. There you go. Let's see. Nobody commenting on Rumble yet. We have 5 watching on Rumble. Thank you guys for coming on over there. We have 1 over on Twitch, and we have 2 on over on D Live. Ooh. Hello, Vampire Frog. Raspberries are so out of stock. Yeah, I bought mine in March. I was able to find the company Vivros in the United States. Still has a ton. You can't buy them as individual boards. You buy them as parts of kits, but they're not ultra expensive kits. I think I was only paying like $80 for kits. 4 gigabyte. I was getting the Raspberry Pi 4 gigabyte versions. I did not see any 8s in stock, but that was good. David just followed. David, is it Krapichinski? Or some other one, Hi, David. All right, let's jump on into some discussions. We are going to break this, guys, up. We're going to kind of talk a little off the cuff. We are going to be serious first, and then the second half of the show, we're going to get comical. So let's go ahead and start in. I'm going to start recording here so we can clip these guys out. All right, so here we're going to start in on a discussion of when not to use Linux, the serious edition. So what do you guys say are, give me just a couple reasons for times when you do not use Linux. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. And sorry, Salbu, who hasn't used anything but Linux for years.
I haven't had the need to use anything else since 2008, and so I'm not sure I'm counting, but in my honest opinion is there is no reason to not use Linux. The only exception are those who are really avid gamers and don't care what they are using. Then they really don't have a reason to use Linux when you look on it in that view.
Okay. Yeah, gaming, there's an application. Ivan, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd have to go right along with that, and I've got a great example for it. It's like the one game that I do happen to play, which happen to be from Blizzard. It's World of Warcraft, but I've been doing that since '07. And their setup is not Linux friendly at all because you have to have like their Battle.net app, and then you run that and you actually launch it from there. So it separates it all out. So if you try running just the game in a Linux environment, it's going to look for that app and not going to find it. I've tried to get it running using Wine, using Play on Linux, and it's just not working.
Yeah.
So there's some instances for gaming that I've seen, that one game for me, but for somebody else, that would be for other type games, AAA games, things of that sort. Some may work, some may not. Of course, some folks would just yell, "Well, just use Steam." Well, yeah, but that only goes so far because not every single one of those games are going to run on it. But it's like as far as like actually needing to use the Linux environment, is that you as far as gaming goes, yeah, you're going to limit yourself, but just for average kind of stuff, the Linux environment is just fine because everything works more or less. And it's it can get screwier and screwier when you're trying to do stuff for gaming in particular. But as far as like anything else goes, I haven't really seen anything or come across anything where I would need to use it in one of the other OSs, Windows or Mac. I mean, I haven't touched Mac at all ever in my life. After Apple went kaput, the Apple II in particular. After that happened, I'm just like, and then never looked back because I like the Apple II.
Yeah. So in my case, the ones that I look at is first, I have on board here. I have not booted them up for a long time. I have a Mac and I have a Windows computer on board. It's just a Mac Airbook and a Surface Pro 1. That thing might be like a collector's edition at this point in time. And in the event a client's like, I really can't get something to work, and it's like, all right, you're going to make me pull this out. I will pull out the old Windows computer and go ahead and start working on that and just look at that just to testing. So for me, client testing is really the one case that I personally do. And, it doesn't really happen much because I have not booted them up for, probably, I think I booted up and charged the Surface when I was in California, and that was in December. The Mac, I think I charged it once since then. I think I booted it once since then as well, just to see if it had charge, I think. Or I think I needed a computer that would boot really super fast or something. I don't know. I can't remember, but that was the case. So for me, those are the things. Now, other things that I've heard talked about, of course, we already talked about gaming. If you happen to work at a company that requires you to use Linux or Windows or Mac or something, yeah, well, you're kind of out of luck there too. So, those are instances when you do not use Linux as well. What I try to steer away from is people that are saying, I have to use X software. Well, why do you have to use that software? If there's a specific work reason, it has to be exactly that software, fine. You're a graphic designer, you work for a company, Photoshop is the industry standard, you have to use Photoshop, and it's not going to work well on Linux. So you're going to be locked into one of the other two operating systems. But if you're talking about, well, I need to Photoshop the image quality of my family photos, it's a personal thing. No, there's plenty other options, and they do just as good of a job as Photoshop. And so there are legitimate cases when not to use Linux, but they're kind of rarities. Anything else we want to add on the serious end here as to when you may not want to use Linux?
Yeah, I actually came across one I mean, it's like in my old job, I was quality assurance, stuff like that. And they were Windows. Everything was Windows.
Mhm.
And there was a point where in the past, I mean, we're going back years, where because they were actually at one point two companies, and one used Windows and the other used Mac. And so for a while there, when the two were put together, we had both systems for a period. One was called red, one was called blue. Yeah.
Go figure.
Or no, not red, maroon. We call it maroon and blue. And and then we got rid of the blue system, which was the Mac system, and just went with Windows. And everything we did was Windows based. I remember using MKS, for what I was doing, and Toad and a few other things and stuff like that. And they only used the Windows versions of it. And I asked the desktop guys, "Hey, why have we thought about using a Linux desktop or something?" And they're like, "No, why?" Yeah, and I'm just like, okay. And so I started getting curious about the Linux desktop for home, and lo and behold, I'm LMDE later.
Yeah, and it works well.
Yeah, very
Works
well.
just as good as everything else, and it doesn't spy on you and take over and control your system and give you ads in the start menu.
Bingo.
Lord help us. So there we have it. Salbu, any other things you thought of on the way of serious reasons not to use Linux?
The only reason could be if there is some type of application that in a business environment for when you use some kind of program that doesn't have a Linux variant that does the same job. And I think it's quite rare because those businesses who really want to use Linux, if the software doesn't exist, they will create one.
Yeah, and the like when I was still doing cancer research in the lab, this was right when Vista was in the process of coming out. We spent I think it was $15,000 or $20,000, or maybe it was $100,000. It was some insane amount on a brand new methodology. It's probably very standard now, but it was a real-time PCR machine. If you've heard of PCR, of course everybody's heard of PCR now with the Kufi tests. But PCR, you put everything in and then you run it through a cycle, which is going to basically run your sampling through cycles. And what it does is every cycle is it doubles and amplifies the amount of compound in your sample. Well, what real-time PCR does is it does this, but at every step of the process, it does a photo analysis. So I can put in, for example, a luciferase gene, and I can measure the quantities of luciferase based on some circumstance. This is going to allow me to do point analyses of, in real time, how different pharmaceuticals are going to work. So these are the applications that I did in my dissertation. So we're running this machine. We pay this obscene amount of money for it right when Vista's coming out. Well, the software only worked on Windows like XP, And so you get a case like that where you get all of the very, very, very specific software built in. That is certainly a legit case. And it's certainly one that is worth keeping in mind. So, yeah, those are some of the really good examples that we might have. So there is our serious end of our things. There are legitimate times when not to use Linux. All right, let's check in on comments. We have 35 watching on YouTube. Let's see how many we have over here on. Only 16 on Odyssey. You Odyssey guys, come on, pass the word. Can't do it on Linux, I won't. Let's see, you haven't changed in the past 2 years. Well, Instigator, I mean, for 6 months at the beginning of this year, I had a giant beard. So I did change then. But yeah, much the same. Looks the same with having issues. Looks like some are having issues with Mint 21. I am noticing there have been some changes in Mint, which I think is mostly due to the Ubuntu core, which is kind of, I think that's what it is. Linux Mint really needs to start focusing on the Linux Mint Debian Edition. They really need to do that. Mobile devices, unfortunately, just not ready for a daily driver. Bye-bye, Android. Yeah, I mean, Lineage is good enough, but it's still based heavily on Android, so, you know, whatever that's worth. I don't run G apps. I don't really run most apps either. From Linux mobile devices, the distro makers are not producing drivers for hardware. Yeah, that's true. Play MMOs anymore. Let's see, it's true. Use Selfish OS up till last week. Finally, couldn't take the unreliability anymore. Ubuntu Touch is just taking the drivers from Android, porting it to their OSs. Vista, I know, right? Hey, tells you when I was in grad school, right? But EOL Windows 7, same time Linux got easier to install. Yep. All right, let's see. We have 8 watching on Rumble, but nobody on Rumble's really talkative. Or maybe I just need to reset my system again. Still only one guy over on here. Diemaster holding up our Twitch side. Thank you, Diemaster. All right, and we've got 2 still over on D Live. You ought to see these nuts. I know, right? All right. I did look up while we were talking. Vilros does not have single boards, but they do have kits with 8 gigabyte RAM ready to ship. So you can buy a Vilros Raspberry Pi 4 basic starter kit. They're $164, which is about $90 above the cost of the mirror board, but you do get a nice heatsink, a fan-cooled aluminum case, power supply with a switch, USB, and it looks like a portable carrying case. So Vilros, if you are looking for those Raspberry Pi 4 8 gigabytes, as of right now, they don't have the boards, but they do have the full kits. Let's see if they have other kits as well. Here's a basic Model B basic starter kit. Complete starter kits. The gaming kits will have the Nintendo type controllers in them. This one actually has the portable keyboard. I have one of those up here. It is awesome. I love it. So those are pretty cool. So those will come with these keyboards. I think they're like 20 or 30 bucks. So it's going to come with that. A card. So there's more gaming emulators. This one actually has a screen with it. So they do have options. Let's see. Yeah, they don't have any of those ones in. Did not expect to have any of those. And this is the US version of the desktop kit. And they don't have any of those in either. So if you are looking for them, though, they do have a few different kits in. Not a ton, but for those looking for the Raspberry Pi 4 with 8 gigs of RAM, Vilros does have those. I've ordered for them personally. I will say they did mess up my order because I ordered a kit and then threw a Nintendo controller on it. And I think they missed that. I emailed them the day I got it. They're like, oh, whoops, our mistake. The next day, actually, I think it was probably that day they shipped out the Nintendo controller. And I literally had it like 3 days later. So they have really good customer service, really fast shipping. So I would definitely recommend checking out that company if you are stateside looking for Raspberry Pi stuff. All right, and let's check in over here on the Tubies. Where did I leave off on my comments?
There was one comment on YouTube that I highlighted myself because Buried Unkind wrote that Ronald Reagan said it's not about left versus right, it's about the good versus bad. So
correct, good versus bad.
That's something to keep in mind in these days.
Yeah, so we just have to remember that it's not as clear cut as the right is the good or the right is the bad. It's not as clear cut as that. Because the reason I was registered Republican for a long time and I abandoned the party because it was like, all right, you guys are just as corrupt as the other ones. It's just one giant flapping, corrupt, squawking, loud bird. And I would like to actually approach things with logical thought rather than anything else. And unfortunately, when I approach it with logical thought, I tend to end up in the conservative branch because I believe in personal responsibility. I believe in taking care of myself. I believe that we should have small government. I believe that for the most part, people should be able to do what they want to do. But at the same time, we do need some degree of laws because we do have to come together in society and coexist peacefully, and we have to remember to do that as well. So, it tends that the left side of things tends to be a lot more controlling, and I push back against that a lot. So,
yeah, as a European, it's a little weird for us to hear about the American politics because you have two main parties. In our in the Norwegian parliament, there is currently 10 political parties.
yeah.
Of which two are in government together.
Mm-hmm. Benjamin Aldridge is a Ron Paul libertarian. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the libertarian approach. Where I tend to disagree with the libertarian view is sometimes they want so little government that I just don't see how society functions. Like, as a person who travels around the country, I see the tax dollars going to making sure the roads are functioning. Because if you've not traveled around enough to see roads that have not been maintained, it does not take more than a year or two for a road to become completely overcome by nature. We need some degree of taxes for that. We need some degree of laws. Like, I do not. I watch Stexenhammer as an interesting guy who's a crazy occultist. But he has really good views. He's pretty close to pure libertarian, and I would agree with him on about half what he says. I would disagree with him about half what he says. And one of the things, I always think about it, it's like if some crack addict wants to just go be crack in the mortar, I don't really care. Well, I do. The reason is because if I have a crack addict in my neighborhood, eventually he's going to become my problem too. Because he's going to be so bad and so screwed up, he's going to start breaking in and stealing stuff to feed his addiction. That's why I just cannot sit on the libertarian model. In a pure sense. Also, people who are struggling with alcoholism, the pure libertarian model, like in Pennsylvania, for a long time we had these deep sundry laws. You couldn't buy alcohol on the weekends. You can only buy alcohol at very specific stores, not in gas stations, not anywhere. And Pennsylvania did such this radical shift where alcohol is now in the main aisle in every single store. And if a person is really struggling with an alcohol addiction and they realize they have a problem and they want to get off of it, you can no longer go to a grocery store or a gas station in the state of Pennsylvania because alcohol is going to be staring at your face in every single place. I think that's problematic. I don't have a problem with having the store nearby because in most states, not all of them, but in most states, when you can buy alcohol at the gas station or the grocery store, it is still a separate section. You're not walking down the bread aisle one moment and then walking down the beer aisle the next. And because some people do have problems with alcohol and that gets in the way. That's what keeps me from being a pure libertarian. But, greetings, Yu-Gi-Oh! How's it going there? PBC is my choice. There you go. Can't have nice cars if the roads are full of holes, which makes me sad. Yeah. Left is active, the right is passive. It's why your right erode with time. That's true. All right. Trump turned me around from not thinking that he'd been right person doing the job, thanking him for doing the right job for 95% clip. There we are. We can find a lot of hate over there, right? All right. So let's go ahead and jump on into our comical reasons. Hold on, let me go ahead and start the recording. All right, part 2 of our when not to use Linux. This is the comedy edition. All right, Salbu, I'm on you. Give me your comical reasons to not use Linux.
When it's not doing what I want it to do.
It's not doing what you want it to do. So that basically means you are in full control of your computers for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. All right, Ivan, give me one tip. When do you not use Linux?
When you're trying to fire up this thing. I hooked up Linux to this thing. It started spinning around and around. The light started giving me a disco flash shot and everything like that. And
what is that thing?
That is a Stargate.
Okay, don't run Stargates. Really run on what? They run on Windows or Mac? I cannot imagine something like a Stargate running on anything but Linux.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking too. But for some reason, I mean, they're so old that there must be something that it just doesn't work right, because I thought I could get it to work right. And I was surprised I could get it to go back to this, which is where it should be.
Yeah, I guess I was running some Windows embedded system. All right. Well,
Yeah, and
my time.
his problem is that he's now millions of light years away, and no one knows quite where he is. But he found an ancient ship, and the operating system is so
But-
old that there's no
Well-
source code.
Microsoft knows where he is because he's running a Windows embedded system, but nobody else does. Time when not to use Linux is when you're in the state of California and you're not allowed to run heavy hardware or anything else for that matter because their entire grid has shut down and you have no electricity because, well, you can't run anything in that case. But you're not going to use Linux in the middle of that unless you do what I do and you have a completely off-the-grid mobile office where you can run everything off of solar grids. But those solar, though, they have to be independent. We can't have – it's not like, hey, we got a grid based on solar. It's not strong enough. Everybody needs to have their own solar farm, your own batteries to store the power and things like that. So, all right, who's got another one? Salbo, you got another one for us? When not to use Linux?
Not really, no. I really can't think of a reason not to use it.
All right, Ivan, what else you got?
I think I got an old Pac-Man cabinet that I tried to get running with it, but it didn't seem to like it. It just gave me a big sad face with it stuck its tongue out at me, and I'm just like, okay,
Oh,
all right.
well, when you're using your smartphone, YouTube just gave me a pop-up saying now would be a good time to insert an ad. Do you guys want me to insert an ad? No, YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, I've never pushed this insert ad button. There you go. We've inserted an ad. Did you guys get an ad or not? I don't know. All right. Here's my next one.
I have an ad blocker, so no.
Yeah. When you're using your phone, because Linux just does not run on too many phones these days. We're working towards it, but for the most part, we have phones that just don't run Linux. So yeah, I'm running Lineage on there. Technically, though, that is Linux. It's an old, heavily modified, Linux, but okay. All right. Anyone else?
I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry.
We should have written all these down. We were on a roll before the show actually started, but
yeah.
We should have. Okay, so Bishop of Eternity got an ad. All right. Very cool. Very cool.
There was one comment on YouTube on when not to use Linux when I'm sleeping.
Oh yeah, when you're sleeping, you are probably not going to be using Linux, for sure. Other times when you're not using, I don't use Linux when I drive. Unfortunately, my van's infotainment system uses some Windows embedded system. I found out. So sadly, when I'm driving down the road, I'm not using Linux because I don't have any of that going.
Yeah, but that's the infotainment system, the actual software that is maintaining things that are critically important. They do not run Windows.
Non-native, give me the one I thought of at the very first stream. Thank you for reminding me on that one. Yeah, when not to use Linux, when you're using FreeBSD. There you go.
Yeah.
And I don't need to use Linux when I've got a nice big juicy hamburger in my face.
Okay, yeah. North Point says when I'm dead. When you're dead, no need to use Linux. Although I will point out that some companies like Microsoft are trying to, and Amazon actually is doing the same thing. They're trying to get you to download your whole personality into their AI so they can recreate you so that your loved ones do not ever mourn your death. They just keep on talking to their devices like they're talking to you. So those, I don't know if those are going to be built based on Windows or based on, the Microsoft one presumably is based on Windows. But the Amazon one's probably going to be based on Linux because I can not imagine Amazon wanting to pay licensing fees to Microsoft.
Yeah, I'm staying away from that. If I ever have the need for a loved one that is dead to hear their voice, I would have to, in advance, have a recording of them in some fashion.
Yeah.
Because that will actually be them, whereas an AI could never be any of the ones I know. It would sound like them, but it's never going to be them with their reviews and no.
Yeah.
Santos asked, do you need a Windows super user key on Linux? Is it necessary? Because I have a keyboard without it. That's interesting. You can use it to pull up your main menus and things. You can map to it. There's a lot of things. You can use it for shortcuts, things like that. But so let's see. Not use Linux when your job requires another one that's not Linux. Yeah, that was more a serious one. But maybe you're, let's see. You're trying to, here's another good reason to not use Linux. When you're trying to confuse everybody who knows you.
Yeah.
Yeah, or if you have the need to get a virus on your system.
Yeah, if you want viruses on your system, don't use Linux because you'll be much more susceptible to viruses.
Ow.
Fly hunting. Excuse me.
I was gonna say you
Yeah, and
smacked me.
he got hurt.
I was say you smacked me because I'm actually on the left side of him.
That's right. Take that. All right. I think we found enough of the reasons not to use Linux on the more comical end, so we can stop here and go through our comments and such. Yeah, so like the downside of the spot where I'm at is like fly central in here. So I actually installed a new cat gate, which is on a roller. It's basically like more of a horizontal window blind. But it works really nice. And then I actually sewed some super magnets to the bottom of this main screen and then put some metal bracing down on the floor to tighten it in. And actually I got significantly less flies today. Like last night, I think I had 100 flies in this little van. It was crazy, just where we're at. So if I just go attacking the guests, it's because, you know, there's flies in here, and that means it's a fly landed in such a way that I could easily kill it. Which dish towels, good for those. All right, we have 38 over on YouTube. We are at 20 over on Odyssey. Let's see. About 6 months after they backported spying to Windows 7, was waiting for people to complain and then to take me out the spyware, but it wasn't happening. So there you go. Yep. Looked into it. Unfortunately, I won't be running on Xperia devices yet. Only problem with Linux OS on mobile devices, not all devices are yet supported. Correct. That is a problem on mobile devices. Two wings, same bird. Conservatives are good, and conservative politicians are not. There you go. Agnostic by nature. I stay away from the left or right paradigm. There you go.
Bishop suggest another reason to not use Linux is when you're using malware OS.
Oh, there you go. Malware OS. Yeah. Left aren't even left anymore. They're just cult members. I think what has happened is the extreme left has taken over more of the left and shifted the party. The extreme right generally has not taken over the right. There's a few nutsoids in the extreme right, but not a lot of them. But the extreme leftoids are extraordinarily loud.
Yeah, I saw an illustration that someone made a few months ago about the differences now versus 10 years ago. 10 years ago, there were people who were on the left and who were on the left and on the right, and then you had those who were just in the center, and then the left moved to the extreme, moving the center, so that anyone who was in the center are now in the far right, and they had not moved.
They haven't moved. Yeah. Things shift that way. Sodium chloride, we're over on Odyssey right now. Sodium chloride's, I love this comment. One popular libertarian view I disagree with is that capitalism can work without any laws. Fewer regulations, yes, but thinking the market will correct itself without laws is nonsense. That is so true, because if you were just to, this definitely prevents me from being an anarcho-capitalist. If you were to simply pull away all the laws and say, all right, businesses correct themselves, what would happen is the top 5 companies of the world would simply buy up, crush, and completely maim every other company and completely take over in full monopoly. That's exactly what would happen. Yeah. You'd have either Unilever or Nestle appear as the leader of the food industry. You'd probably have Amazon appear in the lead of those, although it could be Amazon or Walmart. But I don't see them both. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they both get this co-monopoly going on, this oligarchy, as it were. But yeah, I mean, there's the market will not correct itself. The problem that we have right now is we have to recognize that the laws need tiered to the size of the company, because if you put in some heavy regulation because you're worried about some big industry polluting the world, that's one factor. The problem is you put in such heavy regulation, a small company can't pay for it and will never get off the ground. So you effectively crushed a company before it even gets a chance to start. Where's my ad? Sorry. Yeah, you guys over on watching on Odyssey, Rumble, Twitch, and D Live did not get an ad when I pushed the ad button. So you can jump on over there if you don't want to see the ads. Or just run an ad blocker. I don't know. Just don't keep voting the same way, which made the mess. Yeah, absolutely. Like, how? How does Pelosi keep getting voted into office? That woman is a drunken lunatic. Here's a fun law for Congress. Number 1, term limits. Number 2, breathalyzer tests. If you're not allowed to drive down the road over 0.08 blood alcohol level, under no circumstance should you possibly be helping pass laws in this nation. My Lord.
Yeah. And then, of course, you get one of them kind of sauced a little bit. Then you ask them that question, and they might be like, well, then how can we get anything done?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Linux is an example of total freedom. Apple and Microsoft are examples of government. Yeah, there you go. Term limits, LOL, yep. As if that'll ever happen. Horror Stream, greetings. You now have a chatter. Thank you for jumping over there. We have 14 on Rumble. Thank you guys for watching on Rumble. Rumble's the only platform at risk of going away because I actually have to pay for it. You have to pay for Rumble, and it does not work super well as a system. It's also the only one of these that I cannot reuse my stream keys. I literally have to reprogram my server's stream keys every single stream because Rumble does not have a system to reuse stream keys.
Oh, man.
Who knows? Maybe they do if I can dump $50 a month instead of $10 a month or something at it. All right. Still one over there on Twitch. Thank you, the Die Master. And one of our D Live viewers left. But I don't know. Is it the Vampire Frog or is it David or is it NPC that's still over there? I don't know. All right. Let's see.
I'm the one who's left.
Oh, you're the one who's left. You're on D Live?
Yeah, I am on four of them.
Oh, okay. All right. Tends to be true. The most define themselves as left push for change endlessly, where those who call themselves conservative tentatively wants to preserve the status quo. Problem is they don't push back much. Yes, if they push back much to keep the status quo, and that's one of the downsides of the right is there are times we don't want to fall into a pure traditionalism where we do things we've always done because we've always done those things, because the world and culture does evolve and change. But does this mean that we start chopping off perfectly good body parts off of little boys because we want to convince them to be that and call that good in normal life? No, that's insane. But that's unfortunately what's happening right now because they're not pushing back as much. Right before I jumped on, I was watching a show where there was a bank, I thought it was in Utah, which was sponsoring a Pride event in Idaho, and they found out that there's a kid drag show going on, and so they pulled all their funding, which is good. Because, if you want to go be a drag queen or involve yourself in a gay bar, more power to you. Don't involve the children. And if you call that right or left or hate, whatever, I'm sorry, just don't involve the children. They don't know what sex is. They don't know what a drag queen is, whatever. When you have to do your taxes, I only use Linux. Yeah, I use GNU Cache. I simply found an accountant. People say, well, what about your accountant needs QuickBooks? No, he doesn't. Tell your accountant I'm going to deliver you a P&L. If you have more questions, we can talk about it. If you're ever an accountant that has to absolutely have QuickBooks, find another accountant. It's not like you found the only guy in the world who can do your taxes. If you're in the United States and you are looking for an accountant that does not have to use QuickBooks, hit me up. I'll give you a great recommendation. He's a rarity, too. He's a black guy with ID. We joke about that a lot. He's been in Facebook's jail a number of times. Amazing accountant, though. I love my accountant. He's so awesome. When not to use Linux, when not to use BSD, I pay for YouTube Premium, so I have no ads. Matrix runs on Windows. Hackers use Kali Linux. How about when I'm dead? There you go. Yeah. I think I've read a few of these. I just didn't leave track of where I'm at. If I've downloaded my whole whatever to MS, then I would be a virus. That's right. Yes. Let's see. Have the Tombstone play. I'll be mellow when I'm dead. There you go. When you want your main method of installing software to be downloaded on random executables from the internet. There you go. Absolutely. That's another reason not to. How's your Bugs Life homeless fly pet doing? I know. Dead. I have killed about 100 of them, and I did find out CJ loves eating flies. So every time I kill a fly, I give it to the cat. It's kind of like the cat.
I remember one time, I think it was Obama. He was interviewed in by someone, one of the TV stations. And during the course of the interview, a fly came and it annoyed him. And he was looking, and the interviewer also noticed the fly. And then it sat down, and he just used his hand and smacked it on his knee or whatever it was. And he was hit hard by the Animal Rights Society people. And I think he's response to the brouhaha that was that, come on, guys, it's on your fly.
So Razzle Review says, don't drive through Minnesota. You will pick up 1,000 pet mosquitoes. I did drive through Minnesota. Literally the whole front of my van turned brown from dead bugs.
Yeah.
You could see the bug cloud. You could literally watch your windshield turn cloudy from all the bug corpses oozing upon it. Man. Yeah, sorry, that picture was not particularly clear, but...
And to get to North Dakota, around the long way would just take forever.
Yeah. Well, that's why I went up there, and it was a wonderful spot. It was beautiful, and then I made that decision to go up to Voyager for the day, and got a chance to see some cool Borealis, and see if I can find pictures of that. I'll have to pull them out sometime and actually show them, but...
So if you were on Voyager...
you know what? Hold on, I have them on my Nextcloud, so let me just pull them off my Nextcloud.
So I was wondering, since you were on Voyager, did you visit Janeway's office?
Did I use what?
Janeway's office.
Oh, no. Let's see if I can get logged in here. Go. All right. Find photos. And let's go modified 4 days ago. All right, here is some good photos. So that's kind of the edge. I wanted to get some stars and some edge there. I don't know which direction is which. There you go. So here we're starting to see more green popping up. And I was over a crystal clear lake, so we got reflection of it down the side. And then this one's probably the best with all the purples, greens and purples. And they're all active, so they're all moving. But I got some nice stars there in the background as well. And then here it's getting brightened up. Nice reflection over the lake. And... that might be the last one. Let me have a look. Yeah, that was the last one.
That the Northern Lights in one of your photos?
Yes, that is the Northern Lights.
I saw this. It's a few days ago, isn't it?
Saturday.
Yeah, I saw it on Saturday. It was very bright here too.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. I use Linux CAD video editing. No, I use video editing on Linux. Taco Bell would take over. Uh-oh. What are we, Demolition Man here? Yeah. When not to use Linux, when your CAD is between you and the monitor. There you go. Yep. With no laws, the only thing stopping me from being a degenerate warlord is my morals, ethics, and principles. Do you expect most people to actually have those? No, and that is why we need laws. Here in South Carolina, you have to register as a Republican or a Democrat to vote in the primaries. Yes, I actually I did not vote in primaries because I'm registered independent and I can't vote in the primaries. unless there's a non-ticket item, like a non-affiliated item on the ticket. People in this facility kitchen failed cooking the cooking exam at Taco Bell. Oh, darn.
Oh,
Don't be political. Instead, tell me why a game that has worked for years now does not work correctly on Linux because of a dumb 2K launcher. Is that that is kind of crazy. As Ivan was talking about with the with BattleNet. So yeah, one of the games that I play is Warcraft 3. Old classic, just nice game. I like the tower defenses, just good, calming, fun evening sometimes if I need a game. And for a long time, you could run it perfectly fine on Linux until they pushed this new BattleNet crap that had to be installed to use it, and you cannot play the game anymore that I bought and paid money for. Now, what I did to remedy that, since I don't really care to play it online, is I grabbed what I think is the best patch, and I forget which one it is, and I have the CDs, and if I need to install on Linux, I can still run it, install it on Wine, and patch it up to the version that I want. And I can still run it on Wine. But yeah, you're right. That is a problematic thing. Children ever suffer the foolishness of their elders. Amen to that. Children are more welcome to learn about sex, drugs, and drag shows at their 18th birthday. Well, not if you're in Kentucky, because the Biden administration is now putting safety machines in rural Kentucky where you can buy needles and condoms.
There is one of the, I don't remember his name. I'm sure I will remember it when the stream is over. He is one of those who is very conservative and very harsh in his preaching in order to get his point across. He said that he has a few young children who are in who used to be in one of the first grades, in the early grades at school. And he said that no one is going to teach his son or his daughter about the sexual or until they are ready to try and be curious on their own. And if the school is trying to do that, his children will no longer go out to school, but he will go and have a very strong talking to the principal, and he is going to tell them his piece. And if they're not listening, he is going to make them listen, physically make them listen. Yeah. He was prepared to go to jail for this.
Yeah, and it's just like it's a balancing act. When is the right time to talk to your kids about such things? But, I'll tell you when not is the right time. When they are so pre-adolescent to be in kindergarten through third grade. But, of course, when a state has the common sense to say, yeah, we're not going to let you talk to the K through third graders about this, the whole left goes all crazy. Don't say gay, Bill. No, don't talk about sex in any form to your kindergarten through third grader, Bill. I know, I read the whole bill. It was a whopping 4 pages. North Point, where was I at when I saw the Northern Lights? I was in Voyageurs National Park, which is northern Minnesota. MS has introduced smart app controls, reason to switch to Linux as it seems to design for MS to dictate what you can and can't download. Oh yeah, that's exciting. End of last year, I said goodbye to Windows forever. Only use GNU Linux 100% migration. Don't need Windows at all. It's like all from Windows, but I run one application with Boodles Wine? Is that Boodles Wine? Northern Lights are out right now up there. Nice. We really need Adobe or CAD. You can always emulate and use pirated versions. I'm not sure I'd recommend using pirated versions of things, but...
yeah.
Emulation is good. You can spin up Windows in a virtual box or, have a Windows hard drive if you need it. Let's see. Heading out over onto Odyssey. Pelosi's hubby took a breathalyzer test while driving, failed it too. What happened? Nothing, of course. Oh, I know. That's what happened. Reading bills before they pass would be a good place. So I know, right? Well, we have to pass these bills to find out what's in them. Elizabeth's term is up. Yikes. I guess UK also needs to talk about some term limits too, but How about a law saying that each bill must have only one concise principle? Yes, correct. That's exactly what we need. Laws, like no more passing all this crap inside of bunches of papers that nobody has read. Don't use Linux when you have proprietary code on it. There you go. Right. The children that are getting these surgeries will sue their parents and the doctor later in life. I know, right? Just pure sin. I know, absolutely.
There was an article in one of the Norwegian Norway's news sites, NRK. It's our equivalent to the BBC. They had an article about this lady who did a transition from a woman to a man and then back. She was giving her a story, and she because in Norway we have strict rules in the medical community. Have strict rules on when they do this. There is a lot of talking in advance, and it could take a few years before someone who makes contact saying they want to have this surgery. Until they actually get the surgery, it could take 3 or 4 years, because they want to make sure that you really want this, and it's not just a phase that you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And this one had this waiting period, and she had an appointment about with the doctors, and things happen. Just happens that on that particular day, all of the train in the area of our capital was halted for for many hours due to some error. So she missed the appointment, and when she missed the appointment, suddenly she felt a calm. There was no stress, and because she was in a real hurry in order to get to this appointment, in order to, it was one of the last talks that they were going to have, and I think they were going to, after this, going to decide that she was be given the surgery or not, and she decided that she's not going to go through with it, so she started to move back. So having such a system where people are in like ours, where people need to go to some sort of counseling for a period, could be beneficial, because you need to be sure, because once you do that, you can't go back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For the people talking about CAD, Benjamin Eldridge just says it looks like AutoCAD has a Docker image, which might be worth looking into if you do CAD. Of course, Docker is cross-platform, so that might be a way you can run it if you do that. Let's see. As soon as Ruth Bader Ginsburg died and left the Supreme Court, I knew it would become ruthless.
Thank you. That's a good one.
Touche.
Yeah, I was thinking about
Constitutional amendment proposal. Let's let Congress live under the same laws as us peasants. Yay, I'm into that. All right, it looks like we got to the bottom of our comments. Our final count.
Someone actually tried that in because we have Norway has a very good welfare system. If you don't have any income, then we have a department, and it's not the correct word, but that will give you a minimum amount of money in order to pay the most needed bills, and have a minimum amount to live on. And two politicians decided, I think this was almost 20 years ago, that they was part of the parliament. They make now they make $100,000 a year in salary for being in the parliament. So they were trying for a month to live on the same amount of money that those who are don't have any income are forced to live on. They had to give up after 2 weeks. But that could be a good exercise for the Congress and the members of the Congress to try this at least once, just to see
Yeah. Let's see how you guys. I don't think Congress should be able to be paid anything more than the average American salary. Take the average American salary. That's your salary for this year. President, they can get a little bit more. Okay, this AutoCAD, the AutoCAD I found on Docker is updated 6 years ago, so I don't know. That may not be a good option. But I don't know. It's possible. I'm not either a Docker fan nor am I a CAD user, so I wouldn't understand one way or the other. All laws need to be read coherently by everyone who supports them out and in the open. No breaks. Yeah, there you go. But we have to pass these laws to know what's inside of them. All right, final numbers. Rumble, we had 15, Odyssey 13, and YouTube at 31. So YouTube's still streaming the king. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this one up here. Of course, I am premiering a video in 1 hour on my Christian channel. So if you are into such things, you can head on over there. We're talking about Joel and the Day of the Lord. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in all the places. I'm sorry, this one's only premiering on YouTube. It should be on Rumble and on BitChute. No, not BitChute anymore. Just on Rumble. So I got to get more stuff on the Christian stuff. But anyway, if you are interested in such things, if not, we will see you tomorrow for the weekly news roundup. Well, let me go ahead and drop this message here in all of the platforms in case you would like to jump in and watch that over on the Tubies. And my apologies, it's only on the Tubies, but it is what it is. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.